Welcome to Small Biz Mama, episode 8. How much do you really need to make each month? Now, this number is going to be different for everybody. It's going to depend on lots of different things in your business, and we're going to go through each one of them and kind of talk about how you get the numbers that you need. But this is a question that I get a lot because it's funny when I sit down with people, I say, okay, how much money do you need to make each month? And they give me a number, and that number is usually wrong. It's either way, way too high or it's way, way too low. And so I want to help you get the right number for you, your life, and your business. Okay, sound good? Now I know you might not be a numbers person. I understand, but listen. Okay, this is one of my pet peeves. Okay, it drives me crazy the number of women that say, I'm not a math person. I'm not good at math. We need to stop that crap right now. Okay, because most of the math that you are going to do in your life, in your business, is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. You do it on a 4-function calculator. Okay, so we really need to stop this because you know what's happening is every time we say as women, we're not good at math, I don't get math, your daughters hear that, your nieces hear that. Okay, and we're perpetuating this stereotype that women aren't good at math. And, I've had family members who are amazing at math. And then somehow between middle school and high school, it was like beaten out of them that they were good at math. And all of a sudden they were not good at math anymore. Okay, so ladies, we need to stop. We need to stop this right now. Okay. If you have, if you have a mental block when it comes to math, have somebody help you with this, have somebody show you how to do this, but there is power in numbers, okay? There's extreme power in numbers in your business. And if you're not looking at your numbers, we have a problem, okay? And it may be that you're sitting down with somebody who's helping walk you through the numbers, right? But you need to learn this stuff. You can't just put your head in the sand and say, I'm not gonna look at my numbers because I'm not good at math. Okay, analyzing numbers is not math, right? It's language. And most of you think you're really, really good at language, right? And most of you are really, really good at language. So let's look at numbers as a language. That's what I teach my students in bookkeeper training school and my students that I teach in the university and online through my websites. Accounting is the language of business, right? And so you need to have some basic understanding of your numbers in order to run your business properly. Okay, all right, I'm sorry. I had to go off on that tangent. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do, sorry about that. No, not sorry. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to figure out how much money you need to live. How much does it cost to run your household every single month? Now, some people know this number. Most people do not. Most people have no idea what it takes to run their household. It's funny because going through the pandemic, I've had a lot of clients tell me, I never realized how much I spent on eating out, or I never realized how much I spent at Target. Right now that they're not going out and just shopping as therapy or eating out a lot because it's the easier thing to do, I'm seeing that people are saving a tremendous amount of money. All right, so how do we figure out how much you spend each month? You have to go through your statements. So what I would do, now I'm a spreadsheet person, okay? I like spreadsheets because spreadsheets mean less math, right? So if I use a spreadsheet, I don't have to do as much math, okay? Because the spreadsheet does it for me. So what I would here's the really easy way to do it, right? The really easy way to do it is to pull all your credit cards, pull all your bank statements, and just look at your withdrawals for the month, right? Just look at the withdrawals for the month. How much do you withdraw from your checking account on a regular basis? How much do you charge on your credit cards on a regular basis? Now, the one thing that you'll need to do is if you pay your credit card from your checking account, right, you would want to remove any credit card payments that you made, okay? Because that's gonna mess up your numbers. You're gonna double count. Okay, now if you really want to detail it out, right, which is what I typically do, or there's a couple apps that you can use for this. I like Mint. Mint is owned by Intuit, which owns QuickBooks Online. And they have a free app that you can use to pull in all of your information, and it'll categorize it for you and tell you how much you're spending. That's a good app. You could do this on a piece of paper where you could just write down, make categories on different pages and write down what you're spending. And then you could have your kids add it up for you. Because I know that they're getting calculators in, second or third grade. I know that from when I was on the Board of Ed in Windsor, that they were giving kids calculators in second grade. So you could have the kids add it up, right? You could do it in a spreadsheet. Dave Ramsey has an app that you can use. The issue with his app, though, is that since he's anti-credit card, if you are spending on credit cards, you can't put your credit cards in there. So You Need a Budget, which is another app. We use USAA for banking. You can use, you can set up your spending in there, and it'll calculate your spending in there. So that's pretty cool. So check with your bank, because a lot of banks now are actually building in this feature. So, and if you've, that's the easiest way to do it. But you have to get a handle on how much you're actually spending every month. Because if you don't have a handle on that, it's really hard to determine how much money your business needs to make, how much you have to work. Because I think a lot of times we just kind of throw a number at the wall, right? And say, this is how much I want to make. And then we don't really know why that number is significant. We don't know why we picked that number. We just know that, that number sounds good, right, to us. And that's not going to get you where you want to be. Okay, so, all right, so once you figure out how much you need to live, right, so you're going to figure out mortgage, utilities, eating out, groceries. It's gonna be a little shocking probably, but it's something we need to do, and maybe it'll be eye-opening for you. We'll see. All right, so now let's say that number is $5,000 per month. Okay, so if that number is $5,000 per month, then what I want you to do is I want you to add another 15 to 20% to that number for various savings. Okay, maybe that's, that could be paying down some debt, that could be putting money into retirement, that could be putting money into a savings account so you have an emergency fund, that could be setting up sinking accounts so that way you've got money for vacations and stuff like that. But I want, and plus it gives you some cushion too. So I want you to add like 15 to 20%. So let's say if you're saying $5,000 per month is what you need to live, then if we add 20% to that, that'd be another $1,000. So now we're at $6,000. Okay. So let's take that $6,000 and let's put that number aside. Now we're going to go look at your business. Okay. So what you need to know in order to do this calculation is you need to know your business profit percentage. Okay, your business profit percentage. And you want that to include taxes. Your business profit percentage is the amount of every dollar that you bring in that ends up as profit. Okay, now you might be sitting there going, Kristen, I have no idea what that number is. Okay, so a couple things. So if you use QuickBooks or use Xero or use Wave, we can actually run reports. We can get that number for you. Okay. If you have an accountant, okay, you can ask your accountant to help you with this number. You can look at your tax returns from the prior years to get a rough idea for that number. There's lots of different ways that you can get that number. Okay. Yeah, you can run a report and get it. You'd have to, you'd have to figure in your taxes as well. But essentially the point of this, right, is we need to know how much of every dollar is going to end up as profit. Now, I've had a lot of arguments with business owners, and it's funny because this argument has kind of stopped since PPP and since unemployment. But, for years, I've been trying to tell clients, please show a profit. Please show a profit. Okay. Because if you do not show a profit in your business, right, that means there's no money for you to take home. And that's when you guys get really frustrated, right? I typically find that the most frustrated business owners are the ones that feel like they're not being compensated for the work that they're doing, right? So we need to stop with this idea that we have to make all our profit go away so we don't pay any taxes. Now, I get it. Taxes suck. I don't like taxes either, okay? However, if I don't have profit and I don't pay taxes, I don't get to do cool things like go on vacation with my family. I don't get to pay our bills. I don't get to buy Eric a Power Wheel, which Jeff is currently looking at. I think he wants to buy one for Eric. There's lots of cool things I don't get to do. Now, there are things that we can do to lower our taxes, and that's a completely different episode. And if you want me to do that episode, email us at support@smallbizmama.com and say that you want me to do an episode on reducing your taxes, and we can do that episode. But that's not today, okay? All those people who have been trying to minimize their profit so that they can save money in taxes were not able to get PPP money, or were able to get very little PPP money. They struggled to get unemployment because as far as unemployment was concerned, they didn't make any money in their business. And so why should they get unemployment? If they have no profit, there's no money to pay themselves. And so a lot of business owners, have really been struggling through this, right? Because they didn't want to pay taxes. We also see businesses business owners have trouble getting mortgages. Why? Because they don't show any profit. It's funny, like people say you can't get a mortgage if you're a small business owner. That's not the case. But if you don't show any profit, if you're not making any money, you can't get a mortgage. It's harder to get car loans. It's harder to get credit cards because you're not showing any income. So, I would really encourage you to look at your spending, spend smart for your business. And again, this is something we can talk about. But don't make business decisions based off of, whether or not you're going to pay taxes. Make business decisions based off the best options for you and your business. Okay. This is like my preachy episode, isn't it? I feel like I'm up on the soapbox. But these are things that like it over the last couple months, I have talked to so many business owners who said, I don't qualify for funding. I don't qualify for help. No one will help me. I'm like, all right, well, what do your numbers look like? And we dig through their numbers and they have no profit. They've taken losses for every year they've had their business, or they've had, they've run $1,000 or $2,000 in profit a year. And I said, well, how do you have no profit, right? So as far as all of these agencies are concerned, you make no money. And so they're not going to loan you money if you don't make any money, right? And it's just one of those things, right? It's a very, it's a very easy decision for a bank. They're not going to loan money to businesses that don't make any money because they'll never get paid back, right? Or, the whole thing with PPP is that, You're supposed to, this money's supposed to be to pay you and to pay your employees. Well, if you don't have any profit and you're a sole proprietorship, there's no money to pay you, right? So, all right, I'm getting off my soapbox now. All right, so sorry, guys. I'm sorry. All right, so once you have your business profit percentage, right, and you want to make sure that your taxes are included in that number. So let's say that your business profit percentage is 30%, right? So that means that for every dollar that you bring in, you're going to bring home 30 cents, okay, after taxes. And remember, that's after all your business expenses, and that's after your taxes. Okay, so now what we have to do is you have to divide your total income divided by your business profit percentage. Okay, so we said that we need $6,000 per month. So I should bring up my calculator here. $6,000 per month divided by 0.30 or 30%. Okay, so what does that mean? So that means if you wanted to bring home $6,000 per month, right, free and clear in your bank account, if you're running a 30% profit percentage, that means that you would need to bring home $20,000, or you would need to bring in $20,000 in sales every single month. That's what that looks like. Now you're thinking, oh my God, that's a lot of money. Holy cow, that's a tremendous amount of money. How do we make that number smaller? Okay, well, there's two ways we can make that number smaller. We can either decrease the amount of money that you need to live off of, okay? Or we can increase your business profit percentage, right? Which means that you're spending less in your business. Now, depending on your business, right? You may need to go through and look at what you're spending money on. I mean, 30%, if you're an online business, 30% is kind of low. If you are, if you're a brick and mortar business, 30% might be pretty high, right? It really depends on your expenses that you have. And so that's why it's a really good time while you're kind of going through this, this exercise. Look to see, are you paying for anything you're not using? Are there maybe better solutions out there that are less expensive? But I don't want you to cut your expenses down to nothing, okay? Because that's just going to make your stress worse. And I mean, in some businesses, 20,000 is easy. 20,000 is a couple contracts. It just kind of depends on what you do, right? So, but yeah, two ways to decrease that number: either decrease how much you need to live, or increase your business profit percentage. And we increase the business profit percentage by spending less, right? Spending less of every dollar that comes in. Okay. So let me know if you have any questions about this. This is a really quick and dirty, right? And how to, how much do you need to make each month? If you have questions, you can go to smallbizmama.com, click on the show notes for episode 8, and ask your questions. You can also email us at support@smallbizmama.com. We're working on an easy way to ask us questions. I'm like super excited about that. Hopefully we will have that up within the next couple weeks, but make sure you stay tuned to that. If you like this episode, make sure that you subscribe to the show. I know I'm a little worried about saying that about this episode because it was super, super preachy, but I want to be honest with you guys, and I want you to have the best business and the best life that you can have. And in order to do that, we got to do business seriously, right? And business seriously doesn't mean working 60 hours a week, but business seriously means knowing your numbers, right? Stepping into that CEO role and making sure that you are making the best decisions for your business and your family. And so that's what I want to help you do. So hopefully, you learned a little bit more about your business this month. You're ready to kind of step in, right, and look at your numbers. And if you like this episode, subscribe, okay? Because I'm going to give you things straight. That's who I am, okay? And if you need a little bit of that in your business, make sure you hit subscribe. If you know other business owners who need that in their business too, make sure you tell them about the show. All right, mamas, I will see you next time. You take care, you stay safe, and you be that business woman that your family needs you to be. All right, take care.
Thank you for listening to Small Biz Mama with Kristen Ingram. If you'd like to learn how to create more margin in your life, please visit us at smallbizmama.com. That's smallbizmama.com.